All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Been a lot of talk all week long about Ricky Pearsall and did he look good? Did he look bad? Well, you know what? I was at Minicamp, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I thought of Ricky Pearsall coming up next. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera, 2 locations, and they're open 7 days a week, guys, in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Krug sent you. Get some brisket and enjoy Pig and a Pickle. And, of course, this video is also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles along the Monterey Peninsula. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove. Call Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264 for all your sports cards and collectible needs. Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. All right, let's talk a little bit about Ricky Pearsall. And the Niners just had a mini camp, and we had a chance to get a up-close look at Ricky Pearsall. And it seems like there's been some conflicting reports. Some people think he looked great. He looked great. And then other people said, nah, not so much. I wasn't impressed. They threw him 4 balls, and I didn't see what I wanted to see, and he was underwhelming. And you know, I've got concerns, you know, so everybody has their own take. Okay. I'm going to tell you what I saw, and I feel like I've got this guy pegged, and I see exactly what he is, the good, the bad, and the other, and you know, the good and the bad angles both ways. And I've had people say, oh, you hate Pearsall. You're a hater of Pearsall. You compared him to Danny Amendola. Yeah, I did compare him to Danny Amendola, but you know what? I think you guys are not realizing how good Danny Amendola was. He played 14 years in the NFL. He led the NFL in kickoff return yards one year. He won 2 Super Bowls. He was a key cog on a Super Bowl winning team, on 2 Super Bowl winning teams. Now, I understand he was an undrafted free agent. This is a first-round pick. But they're not the same guy. Pearsall's a bigger guy. Pearsall's a more athletic guy. Danny Amendola ran a slowish 40. Pearsall runs 4.4. Danny Amendola ran mid 4.5s, I think. Amendola had a 27.5-inch vertical. Pearsall's got a 42-inch vertical. So they're different athletes. So, but as far as body control, stop and start ability, and all the route running nuances, Amendola was so good, so good. And if you don't believe me, go ask Carlos Rogers, the former Niner corner who had to defend him. I was standing on the sideline one night when the Rams played the Niners, and Carlos Rogers during the Harbaugh era was trying to stay with Danny Amendola, and he couldn't. He just couldn't. Amendola just kept freeing himself up with all kinds of advanced head fakes and route running and body control and stop and start. I mean, he just had tremendous body control. At the apex of Amendola's career, he was a very, very tough cover. But here's some thoughts on Pearsall after watching him on the field at Niner Minicamp. I can see why the people that said, man, he looked great. I can see why people would say that, because everything that you saw on the highlight reel from his University of Florida career, you could see at the minicamp. Guy's got tremendous ball skills. This guy's got a big catch radius. He has really, really advanced footwork. He's got stop and start ability that just loses corners and creates separation. In addition, he's got a whole array of head and shoulder and body fakes, and he's tremendously confident as a route runner. And he knows that he can turn you into a pretzel, and then he goes and does it. So in watching him, and granted, they threw him 4 balls. 2 of the balls were way over his head. I mean, thrown by quarterbacks that are not going to come anywhere near to the active roster. So you got to factor that in. It wasn't Brock Purdy. It wasn't Josh Dobbs. It wasn't the Niners' top quarterbacks throwing the ball. It was backup guys. He had one where he got a nice little move and created some separation. And then the separation got eaten up with the ball in the air. And Tanner Mordecai, I think, made the throw. The throw was a little too flat, and it wasn't completed. But you saw Pearsall's ability to lose the corner at the line, and then you saw the corner's ability to kind of regain position as Pearsall was running down the field and contest the ball in the air. So I like Pearsall, and I can see why the Niners wanted him. In some ways, he's the perfect fit to go with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is a guy that's going to excel in the middle of the field. He's also going to buy himself extra time in the pocket. And if he has a receiver who has advanced ball skills and route running ability and a big catch radius, and that receiver is willing to kind of work back to the quarterback late in the down, it could be a prolific combination from Purdy to Pearsall. It could be something that you just can't stop. And to me, he's their version of Puka Nacua. And Nacua was a very, very tough cover, partly because he didn't run very ambitious routes, partly because him and Stafford got on the same page, and it became borderline unstoppable. And then when you mix in Cooper Kupp and the speed of Tutu Atwell and their run game, and suddenly you're like, oh my God, the Rams are ridiculous. Now they got Blake Corum. They're even going to be more difficult to defend. But in a lot of ways, Pearsall is the perfect receiver for Brock, because Brock's going to move within the pocket. He's going to keep his eyes posted downfield. Pearsall can absolutely create separation in a short area because he's got quickness and footwork and moves, and he's a nuanced route runner. So he can create that off the line of scrimmage and create separation there. And then if Purdy buys himself more time and you've got the receiver, you got the corner wired to Pearsall, he can use that incredible footwork to create secondary separation. And I think Purdy to Pearsall could be just a go-to element of the Niner offense. I think it can be he could be a piece to the puzzle that really keeps the Niners offense on the field. Good luck defending Ricky Pearsall, from short passes from Brock Purdy on 3rd and 4. The way Purdy throws with accuracy and timing and touch and with anticipation, if he gets on the same page with Pearsall, as far as they get some camp reps together, it could be prolific and it could be borderline unstoppable. So I see the people that are like, Pearsall looked great. I can see what they saw, because he did. He looked really, really, really good. He's so crisp in what he does. His footwork is so advanced. His ability to create short area separation is like a 10-year vet. So I understand. And then there were other people who were like, yeah, he was underwhelming. And they're pointing to, they threw him 4 passes and he didn't catch any. Well, that's not the thing that I would point to, because who was throwing those passes? Guys that aren't going to be on the team. So that wasn't my concern, but I do have concerns, and I've got 2 primary concerns when it comes to Ricky Pearsall. There's no question that this guy is going to be able to get off the line of scrimmage in my mind, because he's got quickness and he can win at the line of scrimmage with quickness. He's got footwork. He's a bigger guy than you think. He moves exceptionally well in a short area. I think he's going to create consistent separation and be able to get off the line of scrimmage. I think that was one of my first concerns. Can he get off the line of scrimmage? I feel like he can get off the line of scrimmage pretty consistently. But then when he does create that separation, and now he's got a step or 2 or 3 on the corner, and now he's getting into the length of his route, I don't necessarily, even though he ran 4.41, I don't really see that elite quickness and that elite gear, that extra gear that once he beats you, you're beaten. And if you're going to, defend him, you can defend him on the next play, but he beats you on this play. He seems like the kind of guy, when he gets into the length of his route, he starts giving the top corners with the top quickness and the top speed an ability to close that space. And so that's really my primary question. Can Ricky Pearsall maintain the separation that he gets from NFL caliber corners throughout the entirety of the route? Or once he gets into the length of the route, can they close that space because they're quicker and a little faster? That's my main concern, because I saw a guy with quickness and footwork and advanced skills. I don't know if I saw that extra gear. In fact, I'm pretty confident I didn't see that extra gear. So he gets in camp this summer. He's going against Samuel Womack. He gives Womack a little stutter step and go, and he's now he's 3 yards beyond Womack. Womack's in a full trail position. My concern is that NFL corners are so athletic, so fast. There's so many premier guys on the corner in the NFL that can Pearsall maintain that separation through the entirety of his route? Or do they, once he gets into the meat and potatoes, once he starts, he gives him a move, he gives him a juke. Now he's got, a step or 2 or 3 on the corner, but now he's going into the length of the route. Can the corner close the ground in the length of the route? Can Pearsall maintain that separation that he created with his footwork and his body fakes at the line? Can he maintain that, or does that cushion get eaten up by faster, quicker athletes? Okay, that's my first question. And then the second question is, this guy is kind of the Niners version of Puka Nacua. This guy is what the Patriots had in Danny Amendola and Wes Welker and Julian Edelman. He is that guy. But all those guys were tough as hell, or they got injured. So that would be my question. I mean, is this guy really, really tough? Now, Tariq Ahmad, the Niners' new scouting director and the guy who had, I'm sure, as big a hand in running this draft as anybody, cited directly without anybody, prompting him, that Pearsall's really, really tough. And really, really, they loved his toughness and they loved his physicality over the middle. So that's a good sign. The guy who drafted him is citing his toughness and his physicality over the middle. In minicamp, you don't know. You're not seeing that. Nobody's hitting anybody. So that would be my second question. The first one is, can he maintain separation throughout the entirety of the route, or will the quickness and the athleticism of NFL corners eat that cushion? And my second question is Pearsall truly a tough guy? And that's what I said a few weeks ago. I said, if this guy is truly tough, then watch the hell out. And I would say the same thing here. It's like, if he's truly Julian Edelman, people say he's like a Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman's like one of the toughest guys that ever played in the NFL, ever. He was a small quarterback from Kent State who came into the NFL and worked across the middle and took starching, huge physical monster hits and just always popped right back up. Is Pearsall that? Is he that tough of a guy? If he's a super tough guy, if he truly is Julian Edelman, then the physicality over the middle in the NFL is not going to bother him, and there will be no residual effect of lots and lots of over the middle hits. But man, you gotta, playing in the middle of the field is not for the meek. And people talk about Puka Nacua and the year that he had. That kid's tough as hell, and he got starched a ton, and he missed some time with some injuries. I mean, he got dinged up. He played hurt. What's Ricky Pearsall gonna look like after 5 games of him going across the middle and just making big catches and just getting starched, just getting blown up in the middle of the field? One, can he avoid those big hits? And if he gets some of those big hits, does he start hearing footsteps? Does he wind up with alligator arms? Does he start short arming it? Does he start peeking? The Niner receivers, if there's one thing that they all have in common, Kittle, CMC, Debo, Ayuk, JJ especially, they run over the middle of the field like they freaking own it. There's no tiptoeing. There's no soft pedaling. It's not like, oh, where's the DB? They run across the middle of the field without fear because they're that physical. Kittle's that physical. Ayuk's that physical. Debo, CMC, JJ, they're all super, super tough. So that's my second question. Can Ricky Pearsall, is he truly a Julian Edelman? Is he truly a tough guy? Or is the physicality over the middle in the NFL going to be too much for him to handle, and he starts peaking, and he starts dropping, and he starts being ineffective, and he starts kind of just looking to avoid the physicality in the middle? You're going to know early on. if this guy embraces it and says, bring it on, I'm a bad A, or if he's like peeking and tiptoeing and running tentatively and short arming and cutting routes off to avoid hits. And suddenly he becomes, instead of a trusted agent in the middle of the field, he becomes a guy you can't trust in the middle of the field because he's worried about the physicality that's coming his way post catch. So there you go. That's my Ricky Pearsall. Did he look great? Yeah, I thought he looked great as far as his route running and his movement ability. He looked great. Did he, was there cause for concern? Well, not because of 4 passes thrown by 2 quarterbacks that probably are never going to throw him a single pass in the regular season. But the concerns I just listed there, I've got 2 of them. Can he maintain separation through the entirety of the route? And will the toughness change him as a player? Because you got to be tough in the middle of the field in the NFL. So we'll see. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.